Howdy. Feeling a little nostalgic today. Stopped by my old home place where I was born and raised. And right here, one story I think of, we used to have a big mailbox. It was on a telephone pole, so nobody dared run off the road and run over it. And it was a big old mailbox. It looked just like a regular mailbox, but it was big. To get packages in so they wouldn't be in the weather. You could put them in that thing. Me and my wife, girlfriend then, we were walking up the road here one day, and we'd borrowed an old pistol from her daddy, an old 22 long nose Western pistol, and we were walking up the hill, and heck, I was back there, man, I'm telling you, I was probably back there 200 feet. And I told her, I said, I'm gonna shoot that mailbox. And I done a little old quick draw and shot from the hip. And we was actually far enough away that we heard the gun shot. And then you hear, ding! I hit that mailbox shooting from the hip. And I get up there, I go, oh, I shot that mailbox. I get up there, and sure enough, I'd knocked a hole in that thing. So anyway, a couple of days later, my mother goes, Jerry, somebody shot our mailbox. I go, yes, ma'am, I did that. She said, was you trying to shoot it? I go, well, I was shooting at it, but I didn't think I was gonna hit it. And she goes, but you were shooting at it, right? And I'm like, well, yes. She didn't whoop me for it, but anyway. But that was my wife that I married just a little while after that, so I guess I was too big for whooping then. But anyway, she didn't even try. But you know what? One time she did try when I was on up pretty good size, and she come after me to whoop me, and I held her arms, and I wouldn't let her do it, and she started crying, and she goes, "You're getting too big," and I loosened my grip and let her slip out of it. I never told her that. I never told her that I turned her loose. But anyway, those wasn't even stories I was planning on telling this morning. I was just going to tell about the old house place here. I'll show you right over here. This is about halfway down the property, and we cut our own hay for the horses and things here. It comes right here off the place, and that seems to work good because they're used to eating that grass, so they do pretty good on the grass if they need hay, if they need it. We hadn't had very many cool days, and they'd prefer to just nibble any little green they can. You know, you watch a horse, he eats almost all the time. And right behind me, well, there's that old tree right there. That's the end of what used to be our roping pen. My dad, and I might have told this in another video, my daddy and them used to rope goats. And that was back, I don't remember them roping goats. That was a little bit before my time. And so they heard about that there was a calf roping up in Fort Worth, Texas. And so they went up there to watch it. I had to stop recording because somebody drove by. Who was that come by? Who's that going down our road? That's what we used to say. We live out in the country. We don't have a whole lot of traffic through here. So you used to, when I was a kid, we knew everybody that went by, but now there's some different people go by every once in a while we don't know. But anyway, my brother, he'd lived off and came back visiting us, and he would make fun of us. Somebody would drive by and he'd jump up and look out the window. Who is that? Who is that going down the road? Because that's what we used to do. And anyway, but yeah, we cut our own hay here and things. Oh, I was telling about the roping pen. Yeah, they used to rope goats, and about the time I got to remember, and I was about 4 years old, they heard that they was roping goats, roping calves and tying them in Fort Worth. So my daddy and them go up there to Fort Worth. They watch and see how they was tying the calves with what we call a pigging string. And they come back and had an arena down there that they've been practicing with goats. And they started, daddy and them bought calves, and they started roping them. And before long, people started showing up. We had people coming, and at night there would be cars lined up down both sides of the old roping pen. and they'd take turns turning their headlights on. Sometimes they'd guys would rope all afternoon and then into the night. And yeah, they had what was called jackpot. In other words, everybody puts up their money like a tournament, and then whoever does it the fastest gets it. And I think my dad might have got a little bit of the percentage of each pot, because he bought the calves. Him and my uncle bought the calves. They fed them, took care of them and everything. But my daddy also won a bunch of times because he had a real good horse called Old Trim. And he was a pretty good calf roper. And he had the home court advantage. That was his roping pen and his calves and things. So that might have helped. And but anyway, they got started doing that, and people would come from all over on the weekends and rope till way into the night. My brother, we had an old 56 Chevrolet or something, and he sold sandwiches and candy bars out of the back end of it, and also cold drinks and sandwiches. So we were a little entrepreneur then, almost all of us. Not very many of my kinfolks, I can't think of any that work for a company or anything. Most all of us are in business and do things ourselves, have our own companies. I don't know, I guess it just run in a family, whatever. But anyway, this is the house. I'm fixing to turn this thing around. This is my old house that I grew up in, right here. We're starting to do a little something to it, or my brother is. He's starting to fix it up a little bit. I'll tell you a story about that. The house is just about in the middle of the property, just a little bit on one side more than the other. And when my parents died, we went to get we went to the lawyer, to settle a estate. And we go there, and the lawyer says, so how y'all want to do this? And we go, split everything right down the middle. He goes, the land? We go, yeah, right down the middle. I had my house here. My brother built his house down to the other end. And he said, well, what about the house? It's on one side of it. I go, I don't care. If it's on my brother's side down there by his house, so yeah, he can have that. What about this? What about that? Right down the middle, we didn't have to worry about splitting much money. There wasn't too much of that. But anyway, the lawyer says, if everybody's like y'all, I wouldn't be able to make a living. But we've always got along good, even though he was 9 years older than me. So he actually whooped my rear a time or two too. And I told him I was going to tell my mother on him. My daddy, he said, well, you do it, I'll whoop you again. So I kept my mouth shut. And back in those days, us kids got some whoopings. But I can truthfully say, I never got one that I didn't deserve. That's for sure. So anyway, I'm gonna turn it back around again and up to the old house. I used to, we'd be getting ready to go and to town, and I'd ask my daddy, I'd say, Daddy, you mean lock the door? And he would like, no, we don't want to lock the door. Somebody might break down and need to get in and use the telephone. And that's exactly the way it was. My brother just put a tin roof on it. And this is the old house I lived in. And I want to tell you something else about how we used to do. It's junky. Well, he just started working on it, cleaning it up. We let it grow up and everything. And inside we did put a roof on it. We had an old trash barrel. Here's one right here. Back in those days, there's that old trash barrel. Back in those days, we didn't waste hardly anything. We didn't have a trash truck come by and pick it up. We didn't have to haul it off much. We took everything we had. When you bought a thing of tea, it come with a goblet and a glass in it. You bought grape jelly, it come with a lid on it. You pop that lid off, eat the jelly up, you got a little glass. It's just jars, mayonnaise, Miracle Whip comes in it. You put preserves in there. You put pickles in there. Preserves in the little jar, pickles in the big ones. And all that we burned was paper. Take the paper, put the paper in there, burn the paper. Every so often the old barrel rots out and you get rid of it, but no trash pickup back in those days. Now another thing I'll show you is, well, there's our old barn up there. There's our old barn. No, that's not the barn. That's the wash house. Wash house right there. The barn is right over there, that behind that donkey. But the wash house there had a washing machine in it, and when I was a kid, and early on when they washed by hand, they had a frame so you didn't have to bend over, and they'd have two square tubs that fit side by side, and you could wash clothes like that and not be leaning over. But then about the time I come along, I barely remember those square tubs. Time I come along, they had a washing machine that you wash the clothes in it, but it didn't spin or nothing. So what you did was you took them and you rinsed them in those other tubs, and you put them in a wringer, and it mashed the water out of them. Mashed the water out, and you hung them on a clothesline. It's a clothesline back there behind the building. And we also had something else those days called stretchers. And those stretchers, they were wire, and they were rectangular, and you put them down in a pair of breeches, in a pair of blue jean pants, and you pull that wire, and it was adjustable. You opened it up, and it stayed real tight, and you hung the clothes on the line. And when you took them stretchers out, since they dried like that, they looked like they'd just been ironed. And another thing, they put bluing in their clothes. Nowadays, you know, faded clothes is in style. Well, it wasn't those days. Those days, it was, they put bluing in there. And a lot of people washed on Monday. I don't know why they washed on Monday, but anyway, so finally, something I don't know. But they put that bluing in there to make the blue jeans stay bright and blue. And so it got to be called Blue Monday because of that. And so anyway, I'm gonna take you around. Oh, I know what. I was thinking about this. We built this old shed here onto the back of the. We finally got a washer and a dryer, and we put that in there. And Mother, she was like the way clothes smell hung on the line. She said that good sunshine, fresh, you know, makes them smell fresh. And she says, I'm not gonna use that dryer unless it's rainy that day and I've got to dry something. I'm gonna always keep hanging them on the line. You know how long that lasted? About the first time it rained and she had to use that dryer, she never hung out another stitch of clothes. And I asked her one time, I said, Mother, I thought you was gonna hang him out. She said, I was, but it's just so much easier just to put them in that dryer and take them out and not have to go out there and everything clothesline and all that mess. And I remember we used to have clothes on the line. It started sprinkling. Hurry, hurry, get the clothes in off the line. So that's just some of the things of the old days, how we did and had it. And so we used to, you say, well, you didn't lock the doors. Well, let me show you something. Even if we had to lock the doors, if somebody wanted to get in bad enough, all they would have had to done was took one of the, well, that ain't coming out. That's what's called an old skeleton key. But anyway, if they wanted to get in your house, all they had to do, oh, I did lock it. All they had to do to the hardware store and buy the keys. There wasn't but about 3 or 4 of them that fit every house around. And that's kind of the saying, if a fella's a crook, he's gonna figure out a way to do it anyway. If not, so anyway, that's, well, I've done spoke long enough. I'll tell you what we'll do. On the next video, I'm gonna take you inside the old house and show you around. I hope you enjoyed visiting with me. I know a lot of you have some old stories, and I read y'all's comments. So far I've read just about all of them, even the one that got 1,000-something comments. I've read them, and I enjoy hearing your stories and things about the old days too. And so I'm glad you enjoyed it. Next time, watch for my next video. And it's going to be the next part about us going in the old house and meddling, as my mother used to say. We're going to go in there meddling. Thank you. Have a good day.